Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just when I think it can't get any better, it can't get any better than this. It can't. It gets better. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The way to Krishna for us in this present situation, present time, is through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He doesn't accept offenses. With Krishna, it's possible to offend Krishna, it's possible. But Mahaprabhu doesn't accept offense. If he did, we wouldn't stand a chance because we're all very, very offensive to the truth. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, because we have no awareness or consciousness that the truth is actually a person. Satchidananda Vigraha, eternity, bliss, and knowledge in the form of a person. We have practically no realization of that. And so the only thing we can do is offend. Even if we try to approach Krishna, we commit so many offenses to each other, to other living beings, and to Krishna. So without the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's for us, because he doesn't accept offense. His pastimes are just wonderful. One of his youthful pastimes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when he was a student in school, he would go to the Ganges, where the great sages and saints and pandits and Brahmins, they'd all be bathing and saying their mantras, Om ba 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 ba, the mantras, and doing their morning rituals and 3 drops of water, and in the Ganges, in their meditation on the Supreme and the personality of Godhead himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a youth, a young boy, a student, would go there and he'd splash water on them. And he'd do funny things like that to distract them and disturb them. And they would get very upset. And they would tell his father that this child is behaving improperly. But Mahaprabhu would go to his father like he'd just come from school. He'd even have ink on his clothes, because in writing and studying he would get ink. And he, with all his books, and with the demeanor of, I don't know what they're talking about. I just came from school. Look, Father, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. How will we ever know Krishna without Mahaprabhu? We'll just be doing our mantras, Om ba boom ba ba ba, Om Om Om, and we'll miss it. Hare Krishna, Hare Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I'm going to read a little bit from Krishna book. But have a few mantras. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I was thinking there's different ways to hear. You say, oh, we have to hear. Hearing is very important. There's different ways to hear. If we're hearing because we have some idea of what we want, and then we just extract according to our desires what we're hearing, like if we're hearing the Vedas, or even hearing about Krishna and the Hare Krishna movement, we're hearing. If we have some other idea of what we want out of it, like I want knowledge, or I want a position, or I want money, and we're hearing, then that kind of hearing, that's all we'll get. But there's another kind of hearing, a relishing, a tasting, hearing, absorbing, transforming, transcending. To hear like that, well, usually say attentive hearing. Well, if somebody wants money or a position or whatever, they can be very attentive. And usually they're more attentive than anyone because they know what they want. But not that kind of hearing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hearing Krishna, actually hearing Krishna, is actually associating with Krishna. Hearing Krishna. Just like taking prasadam. Tasting Krishna. And I would say, some people, oh, you're just eating food. Oh, this tastes really good. Oh, it's too much salt, Not that kind of tasting. Actually tasting Krishna. Engaging the tongue in tasting. Engaging the ear in hearing. Actually associating with Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Now, if somebody is got some other agenda, they're hearing about God and Krishna because they want material stuff, They'll still get some benefit because Krishna's very purifying, he's absolute. And if they're just eating prasadam because, hey, it's a free meal, man, and it tastes pretty good, they'll still get Krishna. It may take a while for the purification to really kick in. But to hear with pure desire Krishna, the messages of Krishna, and to taste food offered to Krishna, and really taste. Really engage the tongue in consciousness, engaging in the service. Krishna, becoming Krishna conscious. It's like a whole being experience. People take drugs because they want this kind of extraordinary whole body experience. Well, it's Krishna. It's the supreme experience. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. It's not necessary to have a big brain and be a big philosopher and be very well learned. It's not necessary. But if someone has that propensity and they engage it in Krishna's service, very nice. Just like it's not necessary to be a gourmet cook. I mean, you can just offer something simple, fruit leaf, some water. Krishna's, why? Because of the love and devotion Krishna accepts. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So no one is excluded from Krishna consciousness on any kind of material measurement, education, economic situation, none of those things. They don't matter. There's no, there's no impediment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. But if someone has facilities, they do have a propensity to cook gourmet cooking, well, use that propensity for Krishna. There's a lot of devotees that are like that, and they cook, and they also write nice cookbooks so other people can prepare elaborate offerings for Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. We have different fields of activities. Someone's field of activity is philosophizing. Great. Engage in that field of. If somebody is a mathematician, great. Or a scientist, great. Engage in that field of activity for Krishna. Serve Krishna with that, your propensities, your talents. If someone's a musician, fine, use that for Krishna. Everything. But none of those things are, there's no special talents required for Krishna consciousness. There's no special talents required. And sometimes they can get in the way. You know, you start thinking, oh, I'm a big musician. Oh, I'm a great scientist. Oh, I'm a good philosopher. You can kind of get trapped by Maya like that, so you need to be careful. Hare Krishna, the taste for relishing Krishna is there in all the activities. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Then it's perfect. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. A couple more mantras. Read some Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, 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 Hare. Another little pastime Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his youth, the young girls would be doing their Durga worship, which is it's customary in Hindu families for the young unmarried girls to worship goddess Durga to get a good husband. So they would be doing that. They'd be at the Ganges and they'd be offering their worship to goddess Durga. And Mahaprabhu would come and Nimai would come. And he'd say, just offer to me. Make your offerings to me. I'll get you a good husband. Make your offerings to me. Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, they're my servants. You don't have to worship them. They're my servants. He's standing there as a young boy. And they couldn't take him seriously. How did they take him seriously? He's just being naughty. But some of the girls were very attracted. And so whether they should have or they shouldn't, they went ahead and they instead of worshiping Parvati, they offered to Mahaprabhu. And he promised them good husbands with lots of children. But some of the girls got angry and said, no, go away, you're being bad. And he cursed them. He said, you'll get husbands that have already been married several times and they have dozens of children already. You'll get old husbands, old men. Bad boy. Bad boy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. What are you worshiping Parvati for? Durga for? She's my servant. She's my servant. You're worshiping her, she's my servant. You worship me, I'll take care of it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's not by merely logic and arguments, although all the philosophy is there. There are books and books and books and tons and tons and tons and tons. But it's not simply by studying the books like up here, Jnana. Because Krishna says, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. And I'm a person. So sometimes you get lost, can't see the forest for the trees, the details. You get lost. The ultimate conclusion, the goal of it all gets lost, meandering through the forest, you can't see the forest. That's what that means, can't see the forest for the trees. Is you're in the forest, you're meandering, there's a tree, there's a tree, there's a tree. But you don't see the whole picture. Oh, it's a forest. Meandering through this verse and this conclusion and that conclusion. We don't see the goal is Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. I really like, I think is it Jiva Goswami or maybe Rupa Goswami? In some of their writings, I think it's Rupa Goswami. One of the Goswamis. They describe the 3 types of discussions that take place when people get together. One type of discussion is they argue because it's very, very important to be right. So they argue who's right, and they fight. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. And that's that type of discussion when it's like being in a boxing ring or something. If I'm right, you have to be wrong. Kind of, I'm the winner, you're the loser because I'm right. It's very important in that type of discussion. Even when I was really little, I recognized that kind of discussion, and it dawned on me that it's possible to be right and wrong at the same time. So in that kind of discussion, it's very important to be right. Okay, you're the winner. I think it was Rupa Goswami who declined to engage in that type of a discussion with a traveling pundit who was going around defeating people because he's very knowledgeable, and that was his thing, was to engage in an argument and, like in a boxing ring, knock the other person out, and then he was victorious. So he had a big long list of people that had engaged in argument with him who he had defeated. He was a big, proud. So he approached Rupa Goswami, who had quite a reputation by that time, to engage in this kind of argument so he could defeat Rupa. So Rupa Goswami didn't want to waste his time. It's a waste of time. Even if you win, what good is it? It's like, go away. So he said, where's your paper? So he signed the paper. Yes, I was defeated. And he never even engaged in a discussion at all. Just to get rid of him. It's a waste of time. Go. Imagine approaching Rupa Goswami like that, just to fight and argue. Please. If somebody approached Prabhupada like that, what a waste of time. So Prabhupada, just give him prasadam. So, when Jiva Goswami, who was the younger nephew, I believe, of Rupa's nephew, very, very brilliant, heard that this pundit was going around claiming that he had defeated Rupa Goswami. So Jiva Goswami became very upset, very angry. He considered that an offense to Rupa. So he said, I'll debate with you. Come on, let's talk. And Jiva Goswami was like, he actually defeated this man. In the same way, like a boxing ring. He actually clobbered him. He was crushed. He lost. He wasn't the champion anymore. In that kind of a discussion where it's important to be right. When Rupa Goswami found out about it, he said, oh, you defeated him. Did he surrender to Krishna? Did he take shelter of Mahaprabhu? Did he surrender to Krishna? Jiva said, no, I just destroyed him with logic. Rupa was very unhappy with that. He says, no, then what's the use? You just destroyed him, but you didn't give him anything. It's terrible. He's totally disgusted. And when Jiva took a good look at what he had done, he hadn't given the man Krishna consciousness. He just killed him. He killed somebody. Didn't give them Krishna. He felt so bad that he had missed the point. That Jiva had missed the point of a discussion. That he left Vrindavan. He lived for almost a year in a solitary place, I think maybe a cave or a little something outside Vrindavan. And then eventually Rupa called him back. He says, okay, come on. It's okay. It was almost a year he stayed up there in that mood of, I've done something really terrible and stupid. Why did I do that? In that mood. So that kind of discussion, that's one kind, where it's very important to be right. But you're wrong at the same time. If this Krishna isn't the conclusion, love of God, surrender to Mahaprabhu isn't the conclusion, then what good is it? So you're right. Okay. You're right. And then another type of discussion is, it doesn't matter if you're right or not. You just have to be heard. Because you want to be heard. You don't even have to be right. You just have to be loud. Because you want to be heard. You don't even have to be right. So that's like a yelling match, That's an argument too. But it's just a yelling match argument. The other one, where you have to be right, that's at least based on some scripture or some logic or something. But this other kind of argument, it's just a yelling match. Who can be loudest? So who needs that? But the type of argument Rupa Goswami recommends is the one where those that are taking part in the discussion actually want to find the truth. They actually want to connect with Krishna. They actually want to surrender to the message of Godhead, which is always coming. It's not over there somewhere. It's the Lord is within the heart, and the messages of Godhead are always coming. So, in an assembly like that, where tuned in to find the truth, in those kinds of discussions, that's the kind you want. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. If you actually want Krishna, if you just want the fun of fighting and arguing, then hey, go for it, You can get a TV and watch a boxing match too and get that same kind of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. But that's something Krishna usually does with demons, is fights with them, punches them and stuff. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Here, have a little Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, now to study, summary study of the 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And this is prayers by Indra, King of Heaven. Let me do a little jingle here. Jingle, jingle. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Kanabala Shivadari Gopi Kanabala Shivadari Yashodanandana Prasashanarandana Yashodanandana Prasashanarandana Yamunatira Kanachari Yamunatira Kanachari Yamuna Shiravanachari Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parvajapacharya Asa Sarasata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Vanchikalpata Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So these are prayers by Indra, the King of Heaven. He didn't recognize Krishna when he appeared as a little cowherd boy in Vrindavan, and challenged the whole community with deluges of rain and wind and hail and ice storms, thunder and lightning, determined to actually drown everyone for not offering to him, Indra, his offerings, and instead worshiping Krishna. Then when he realized, oh, what am I doing? Krishna's my boss. I serve Krishna. So he was humbled like that. Sometimes the Lord has to do that. It's not that Indra isn't a devotee. He is. He's a servant. But sometimes they become bewildered by their power. The servant is given powers and abilities. Sometimes they become bewildered by them. And they forget where they got them from. Thus praised by Indra, now Krishna is going to speak. Thus praised by Indra, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, smiling beautifully said, My dear Indra, I have stopped your sacrifice just to show you my causeless mercy and to revive your memory that I am your eternal master. I'm not only your master, but I'm the master of all the other demigods as well. You should always remember that All your material opulences are due to my mercy. Everyone should always remember that I am the Supreme Lord. I can show anyone my favor, and I can chastise anyone, because no one is superior to me. If I find someone overpowered by false pride, in order to show him my causeless mercy, I withdraw all his opulences. It is noteworthy that Krishna sometimes removes all opulences in order to facilitate a rich man's becoming a surrendered soul to him. This is a special favor of the Lord's. Sometimes it is seen that a person is very opulent materially, but due to his devotional service to the Lord, he may be reduced to poverty. One should not think, however, that because he worshipped the Supreme Lord, he became poverty-stricken. The real purport is that when a person is a pure devotee, but at the same time, by miscalculation, he wants to lord it over material nature, the Lord shows his special mercy by taking away all material opulences until at last he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. After instructing Indra, Lord Krishna asked him to return to his kingdom in the heavenly planet and to remember always that he is never the Supreme, but is always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also advised him to remain as King of Heaven, but to be careful of false pride. After this, the transcendental Sarabi cow, who also came with Indra to see Krishna, offered her respectful obeisances unto him and worshipped him. The Sarabi offered her prayers as follows. My dear Lord Krishna, you are the most powerful of all mystic yogis, because you are the soul of the complete universe. And from you only all this cosmic manifestation has taken place. Therefore, although Indra tried his best to kill my descendant, cows in Vrindavan, they remained under your shelter, and you have protected them all so well. We do not know anyone else as the Supreme, nor do we go to any other demigod or god for protection. Therefore, you are our Indra. You are the Supreme Father of the whole cosmic manifestation, and now you are the protector and elevator of all the cows, Brahmins, demigods, and others who are pure devotees of your lordship. O super soul of the universe, let us bathe you with our milk, because you are our Indra. O Lord, you appear just to diminish the burden of impure activities on the earth. In this way, Krishna was bathed by the milk of the Sarabi cows, and Indra was bathed by the water of the celestial Ganges through the trunk of his carrier elephant. After this, the heavenly king Indra, along with Sarabi cows and all other demigods and their mothers, worshipped Lord Krishna by bathing him with Ganges water and the milk of the Sarabis. Thus, Govinda, Lord Krishna, was pleased with all of them. The residents of all higher planetary systems, such as Gandharva Loka, Pitri Loka, Siddha Loka, and Charana Loka, all combined and began to glorify the Lord by chanting his holy name. Their wives and damsels began to dance with great joy. They very much satisfied the Lord by incessantly pouring flowers from the sky. When everything was very nicely and joyfully settled, the cows overflooded the surface of the earth with their milk. The water of the rivers began to flow and give nourishment to the trees, producing fruits and flowers of different colors and taste. The trees began to pour drops of honey. The hills and mountains began to produce potent medicinal plants and valuable stones. Because of Krishna's presence, all these things happened very nicely, and the lower animals, who were generally envious, were envious no longer. After satisfying Krishna, who is the lord of all the cows in Vrindavan, who was known as Govinda, King Indra took his permission to return to his heavenly kingdom. He was surrounded by all kinds of demigods who passed with him through cosmic space. This great incident is a powerful example of how Krishna consciousness can benefit the world. Even the lower animals forget their envious nature and become elevated to the qualities of the demigods. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 27th chapter of Krishna, prayers by Indra, the king of heaven. The next chapter is when Nanda Maharaj becomes captured by Varuna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.